obviously Columbine, the actual incident, was in a sense the starting point for the film. But I wondered, in kind of when you were originally planning the movie, how wide-ranging you thought the brief was going to be, because it does go in so many other directions as well. But with that as, I guess, as the focus, is that the way to see it?
Yeah, that's Columbine was the trigger, but it wasn't the. It wasn't really. This has been percolating in my head for a long time. Doing something about the American thirst for violence, and why we so often use violence as a means to an end. I mean, I've been thinking about this since I was a kid. You can't help but think about it if you grow up in the United States. I have clear memories of sitting on the living room floor on November 20, no, it would be the 23rd, 24th. I'm trying to think. Every American has the fond memory of the first murder that they witnessed. Let's see, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. On November 25th, on Sunday, November 25th, at around maybe 2 in the afternoon, my mother is vacuuming the carpet. I'm sitting on the floor close to the TV because I'm trying to watch the TV because I can't hear over the vacuum. And they're bringing Lee Harvey Oswald into the garage in Dallas. And Jack Ruby steps forward, puts the gun in his ribs, and shoots him live on TV. That's the first one I witnessed. So many examples of this, not just witnessing murders, but I remember walking out of Mass. It was Holy Thursday, April 4th, 1968. Does that date ring a bell with anybody? I don't know if it does here. Early morning, April 4th, shot rings out in a Memphis sky. No? The singing is on the stage show. I'm sorry. No, I'm walking out of Mass, and one of the dads had gone to the car to warm up the car, and we're all coming out of the church, and he's got the radio on, and he hears this bulletin, and he shouts out of the car, "They've just shot Martin Luther King." And a cheer goes up amongst the people coming out of church. And we're coming out of Mass. And you're 13 years old, and you're just kind of, this stuff just burns in your head, at least in my head. And so, going through high school, what am I going to do if I'm drafted? I'm not going to kill Vietnamese. I just, on and on and on and on and on. And then one day you walk into work, and on the TV, everybody's gathered around the TV because kids are running out of the building with their hands above their heads. That's the first image I remember. The kids at Columbine running out with their hands above their heads because they were all suspects. They were all potentially guilty. The image of that is just, and the police with the guns on all the kids, and they lined up all the kids. You don't see the shot much anymore because it's we don't want to think, we don't really want to reveal that that's how we really think of our children, that they all could potentially do this, because that's what we actually know instinctively as Americans. That these weren't monsters; they were normal kids, and it really could happen to anybody. And if you believe that, then that's too frightening. You don't want to go there, so let's whip ourselves up about something else.
So I was just thinking, so violent death aspect is encapsulated in Columbine, but then that leads into the strand about the climate of fear, or is that something you think about once you've pulled together a lot of material? That you then develop that particular theme.
Right. Yeah. Yes. And every time I developed a new theme, it was wrong. And so, see, I don't operate. One of the benefits of not going to the university or dropping out after a year, which is what I did, is that I never got into writing any papers. So I never learned to structure my mind in a way that, I had to have an outline, and then I had to go get things to fit my thesis or fit the outline, and things start to, the cement dries very quickly, and so I just start shooting, and whatever happens, happens. And the best stuff always happens through the happy accidents. And I went to Canada in the film to show the reason they have less violence is because they have less guns. And I get there, and I'm told by the Office of Statistics Canada, or in French, Canada Statistiques, because you have to say it both ways here, that they have 7 million guns, and there's 10 million households. So clearly they have a lot of guns. So why don't they shoot each other? It just kind of blew my mind. I just thought, oh, geez, there goes the whole theory of what I was, and then I'm going, oh, I love that. Ah, what are we doing here? You know, you're paying a crew. It's like $10,000 a day. And so, but I like that. There's the sort of recklessness of that makes it, I think, as an audience, you're stunned because I'm stunned. You're surprised by something because I'm surprised. I'm letting you in on my journey as opposed to structuring it from the beginning. And I think if I do it that way, don't you know that where I'm going next, or you can see the roadmap. I don't want you to. That's not what we like about a good movie. We love being challenged and we love being surprised and tricked by the story, by the plot, and so because this is reality and because it's actually happening to me, I'm tricked by myself or the events that happen to me. Then it's the same. It's the same for you.
Let's go to some questions.
Yeah, Michael, you used the word movie just then. I wonder how powerful, much more powerful it is because it's a cinema film that we're watching in silence with a lot of fellow viewers in a cinema, as opposed to on television where we perhaps have the remote control close to hand if something gets too uncomfortable. And whether the high profile that brings also drew criticism you either had or hadn't expected from certain quarters?
Who would criticize this?
Well, the usual suspects,
Oh.
people you're pointing the finger at.
Well, I like to make movies. I like to make movies more than making the television shows, because for part of the reason what you said, to go to the movies is an active experience. It requires an active audience, and because in part I'm making these movies because I want the audience to leave the theater and do something, or at least think about it, or talk about it, or whatever. I need active people to do that. Television is a passive activity. It requires sitting on the couch and flicking the remote, and while you reach a lot more people, you don't reach, I don't think, necessarily the active citizens, the engaged. To go to a movie, you've got to leave the house, you've got to get a babysitter, you've got to pay money, you've got to sit in the dark with strangers, a large group of them, and have a communal experience with them. That is, to me, more likely to result in the positive effects and change that I would like to see take place. What's the second part?
Well, I wonder if there's a side to that positive effect, because people talk about it and maybe it moves people to do something positive as a result of seeing a film, whether that also has the Charlton Heston type people of this world agitating against it.
Well, the Charlton Heston people, the NRA, they're agitating against it because they're afraid. Actually, it's been kind of interesting watching them in the U.S. because they're so afraid of what may come of what he said, and if the press starts to focus on the racial comments that he made, because we try to avoid race as much as possible, and even when somebody makes a racist comment, we just want to turn our heads the other way and hope that it's just it's something else, and because he says in the film that the problem in America is our mixed ethnicity, and that he's proud of the wise old dead white guys who founded the country. The NRA has tried to shift some of the focus onto something else, but what are they going to say? I mean, it's what are they going to say? We don't have a lot of murders in the United States. We don't have a lot of guns. What are they going to say? What could they possibly say?
Can I ask just a sidebar to what Amber was asking? Because there isn't necessarily a correlation between television watchers and cinema goers. For me, a lot of the people who only watch television, not necessarily go to the cinema, won't necessarily see the film, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a required viewing. You might be preaching to the converted by having it only in the cinema. What about the great mass of America that probably wouldn't even dream of going to see it?
That's who's going to see the film. Here's the good news. After its fourth weekend, it's already broken the previous record for a documentary, which was set by Roger and me. More people are going to see this film than any documentary ever in a movie theater. They did a poll of people coming out. They do these to see who's going, to the movies. Over 50% of the people who went to see my film this past weekend are people who've never gone to a documentary in a movie theater before. All right, so this is actually reaching, like my book has, a much wider audience than what one would normally expect with this kind of politics or this kind of filmmaking or this kind of writing. And the same thing has happened in my book this year. I mean, it's now 32 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. It's the largest selling nonfiction book in America.